if there, I don't know if you've heard of Andrew Harvey. He talks about all the various maladies of our time that take us on the, any one of which could take us to the brink of destruction on a planetary scale. And he feels that the answer is to return to the divine feminine, a return to the divine feminine. That we've gone too far in the direction of masculine domination and that kind of thing. And what is your take in these times, how we should approach all of this?
So this whole to me, the whole feminine, having our identity at that level, to the point where it's that we will act on that identity in support of it, is just plain stupid as far as I'm concerned. And I don't think we should, I think that maybe the feminine and masculine should go into equilibrium, but it would go into equilibrium, and when these stupid issues of I'm a real man, and all of that are basically sublimated by the fact that that we're living from silence, we're living from peace, we're living as a whole being, rather than living from one or other of the chakras. It just doesn't make I'm in favor of this man's efforts. I just think his emphasis isn't on the real problem, which is mistaken identity. We mistake ourselves to be these bodies, these minds, and all the identities that we've learned and been taught that what we are. When we raise our children, we raise them to have a good self-image. What does that mean? It means that we raise our children to imagine themselves in an orthodox and correct manner, based on the whatever society, societal mores are in effect in the society that the child finds itself in. So, in this, by putting one's whole identity up to the question, I feel that when we discover that we're not what we're not, there's a process called niti, and basically as each identifying characteristic comes up for an examination, we say not this, not this, not this, because they don't pass the reality test, that we were talking about earlier. And it isn't so much that we become something different, is that when all the mistaken ideas of who we are, the incomplete, the non-whole ideas of who we are drop away, what we end up with by default is who we are, which never moves, never changes, can't be negated, has absolutely no qualities of its own, which is what makes it difficult, because the way we normally know things is we know things by their qualities. Anything that we objectify, we say this is hard, soft, warm, cool, and all, radiate our understanding of things by all of that, by all of the dichotomies. But who we are, this silence is not the opposite of noise. It's the context in which noise comes and goes, because noise isn't in the same ball game as silence. So in this discovery of ourselves this way, we're not a slave to the tyranny of our minds trying to support this imagined idea of who we are, because we've taken our imagination and put it under the light of inquiry. And we can see, and then we see what's left after we dice out everything that isn't real.
Would you say that's our God self?
I wouldn't want to label it. There again, it's another label. I could say it's pristine, this, that, or anything else. And the mind really wants to label it so it can box it up and put it in a storage compartment in memory and say, that's who I am. And then go around and says, well, who are you? Well, I'm God. Just be still and be as you are. That's the thing. And the mind can be still and not, immediately need to have a label for who we are.
So labels would be a part of the mind?
It'd be part of the story about the mind, and basically labels occur in thought, and it's been said that, what is mind? Well, mind is a bundle of thoughts, and you know. So find out who we are prior to thinking. Find the you that makes thinking, makes thought possible. Don't limit yourself to a thought about yourself. Is my admonition. You know,
And
you
how
can
do you go about doing that?
You just surrender. That brings it. You surrender. You have to be willing for the truth to be the truth, and that's surrendering.
Surrender your thoughts.
It's a whole thing. You know, you just surrender the whole identity.
How would you, in this culture that we're in American culture, mainstream American culture, this seems pretty, a big leap for people, given the way that we live. How would you communicate this kind of thing, or somehow engender that in people who are so caught up in that, as opposed to people who are already on this path of inquiry or have some inkling of it? Is it possible? Is there any hope?
I think satsang. I mean, it's the only thing, it's what worked for me. It's what I know works. And a willingness or a vigilant, earnest desire to get to the bottom of who am I.
And can you say what satsang is? What is involved with that?
Well, satsang, sat means being. In Sanskrit, the word sat means being. And song comes from sangha, which is a group of people, like-minded folks or whatever, being together. So it basically means being together. Yeah. So we can be together. We can kind of, and the guy that's in the hot seat or whatever in the front, his job is simply to keep reflecting people back to themselves, the truthful reality of who they are back to themselves by doing absolutely nothing. It's not something he does, but and basically keeping everything here and now. And like when hypotheticals come up, gently bring the conversation back to what's so right now. So just right now, I mean, this is like a satsang, although you guys didn't agree to be in a satsang. What is so right now? Who are you right now? You could ask yourself that question right now, and then simply look within for the answer. All the masters tell you that the answer is within. For example, Jesus Christ, I sound like a Christian preacher, in Luke 17:20 and 21, was asked by the Pharisees about the second coming. And he said, "It will not be known by appearance. Neither will they say, 'Lo here,' or 'Lo there,' for behold, the kingdom of God is within you." So if you're looking for God, look within. If you're looking for yourself, look within. Just at any time, you can just drop your attention within and be still and be as you are. It's possible. Because it's the fact. You are that which makes everything possible. Yet you're totally without qualities of your own, which makes it almost impossible to know yourself in it does make it impossible to know yourself in an objective or conventional sense. So the only way you can know yourself is simply by being yourself. But we keep trying to be what we're not. We keep trying to be in service of what we've been taught as children and everything else about who we are. And we have that model of ourselves that we're in service to. So we pick that model apart, let it fall into the trash can, and use it to the degree that you need to use it to eat or do the needful in the world, but knowing the whole time that it's not who you are.